Welcome, fellow composers, to our very first Score Talk session. We're absolutely thrilled to have you join us on this magical journey of musical creation.
That's right, Odette. Today, we're diving into the wonderful world of harmony. Are you ready to unlock the secrets of turning simple melodies into rich, full-bodied compositions?
Oh, darlings, you're in for such a treat. We're going to take those charming little tunes floating in your heads and dress them up in the most delightful harmonic attire.
Indeed. And we'll be starting with the fundamentals, the very building blocks of harmony that have shaped Western music for centuries.
In today's session, we'll be exploring the art of harmonizing simple melodies using just 3 chords, the tonic, subdominant, and dominant.
Now, don't let those terms intimidate you if you're new to music theory. We'll break everything down into easy-to-understand concepts.
Think of it as painting with 3 primary colors, darlings. With just these 3, we'll create a whole palette of harmonic hues.
This foundation will be crucial as we progress to more complex harmonizations in future sessions. Master these basics, and you'll be well on your way to creating compelling harmonic progressions.
We're so excited to embark on this harmonic adventure with all of you. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced composer looking to refine your skills, there's something here for everyone.
Absolutely. We'll start with the very basics and gradually build up your harmonic toolkit. By the end of this session, you'll have a solid grasp on how to support a melody with these essential chords.
And trust me, darlings, once you understand these principles, you'll hear music in a whole new way. It's like uncovering the secret language of composers.
So, let's not delay any further. Are you ready to dive into the world of harmony and unleash your creative potential?
Let's dive into the essential building blocks of harmonization.
This is our starting point, friends. For each note in your melody, we're looking for a chord that includes that note. It's like finding the perfect home for each melodic tone.
Think of it as matchmaking, darlings. We're pairing each melody note with its most compatible chord family.
These 3 chords are our power trio. Between them, they cover every note in the scale.
In a major key, that's uppercase 1, 4, and 5. In minor, it's lowercase 1, 4, and uppercase 5. These chords give us all the tools we need for basic harmonization.
We're keeping things straightforward with our bass line. By using chords in root position, we create a strong, stable foundation for our harmony.
It's like building a house, darlings. We're laying down a solid basement before we start adding all the fancy architectural details.
SATB, or soprano, alto, tenor, bass, is our framework for arranging these chords.
This 4-part texture gives us a rich, full sound to support our melody. It's like providing a cozy harmonic blanket for our melody to rest upon.
Remember, we're sticking to chords in root position for now. This SATB arrangement will be our canvas for future orchestration.
Oh, just imagine the possibilities, darlings. This simple structure is the cocoon from which our beautiful, fully fledged compositions will emerge.
Master these building blocks, and you'll have a solid foundation for all your future harmonic explorations. Let's cut to the chase and examine how each scale degree aligns with the tonic, subdominant, and dominant chords.
Indeed, understanding the relationship between scale degrees and these chords is pivotal.
In this musical excerpt, observe how the first degree of a major scale is harmonized with both the tonic and subdominant chords.
Keep an eye on the Roman numeral analysis below the score, highlighting measures with tonic chords in blue and subdominant chords in green.
This visual aid offers a clear understanding of the harmonic choices at each musical juncture.
Shift your attention to the second and third degrees of the scale, harmonized with the dominant and tonic chords.
Notice the Roman numeral analysis below, emphasizing measures with dominant chords in red.
Now, let's explore the 4th degree, harmonized with the subdominant chord.
Next, witness the 5th degree, akin to the first, harmonized with both the tonic and dominant chords.
In this final segment, we see the 6th and 7th degrees of the scale, harmonized with the subdominant and dominant chords.
As we explore these degrees, we mark the completion of our harmonic journey through the major scale.
This wraps up our exploration of the major scale, unveiling the very basic relationships between melody and harmony. Now, let's put our building blocks to use and harmonize our first theme, B1.
Remember, we're matching each melody note with a chord that contains it. But it's not just about finding any chord, we need to choose wisely.
It's like solving a delightful puzzle, darlings. Each chord should not only fit the melody but also create a pleasing progression.
This is where your knowledge of voice leading comes into play. We're not just stacking chords, we're crafting smooth, logical transitions between them.
If you're new to voice leading, don't worry. There are other score talks that cover this topic in depth.
And if those score talks aren't available yet, standard introductory textbooks on music theory or harmony are excellent resources.
Remember, darlings, mastering voice leading is like learning to dance. It takes practice, but once you've got it, your music will flow beautifully.
When writing SATB harmonizations, remember that you can use either close or open position.
That's right. Close position keeps the upper voices within an octave, while open position spreads them out more. Both have their uses depending on the musical context.
Regardless of position, we must avoid parallel fifths and octaves, not just between accompaniment voices, but also between the bass and the melody.
And do try to create contrary motion between the outer voices when possible.
However, contrary motion fifths and octaves won't always be avoidable. Use your judgment.
Don't forget to keep common tones between chords in the same voice when possible. It creates smoother voice leading.
When a voice must change, move to the nearest chord tone. This helps maintain a cohesive sound.
Oh, and darlings, make sure your accompaniment is complete. Include all chord tones, even if they're in the melody.
Odile makes an excellent point. For instance, if your melody has the third of the chord, still include it in the accompaniment.
Yes, this ensures a full, rich harmonic texture, regardless of what's happening in the melody.
So remember, mind your voice leading, avoid parallel fifths and octaves, use contrary motion when possible, and keep your chords complete.
And above all, let your artistic instincts guide you. These rules are the foundation, but music is an art, not just a science.
While following these rules, we must also ensure our harmonization serves the musical phrase.
Think of it as painting with sound. Each chord is a brushstroke, contributing to the overall picture of our theme.
As we harmonize B1, watch how we apply these principles. You'll see how good voice leading can make even a simple progression sound polished and professional.
Oh, I can't wait to hear how our little B1 blossoms with harmony. Shall we begin, darlings?
All right, my dear composers, let's take a closer look at this B1 theme we have in our music box. Well, let's start with the very first line.
Yes. The piece keyword is used to define the overall composition, with a unique identifier, title, and tempo marking.
And then the time sig 3/4 line, that specifies the time signature, of course.
Precisely. A crucial bit of information for establishing the rhythmic framework of the piece.
Next, we have the key line, which sets the key center for our theme.
Yes, the key signature. A fundamental element in any musical composition.
And then the melody section is where the real magic happens, isn't it, darlings?
Indeed. This is where we define the individual notes and rhythms of the melodic line.
Absolutely. The colon clarinet 5 tells us the instrument and register, octave 5, in this case. A note is indicated by N, followed by its duration, Q for quarter, H for half, W for whole, and so on. Then comes the note degree in the scale. A positive number indicates a degree above the tonic, an ascending interval if you prefer. On the contrary, a negative number means a descending interval, so it's below the tonic. For instance, in this case, NQ3 would indicate an A below our reference C in octave 5.
And finally, each one of the 8 measures is enclosed in square brackets.
It's remarkable how much information is packed into such a compact format. This music box language is truly a useful tool.
Indeed. It allows us to quickly sketch out ideas, experiment with different harmonizations, and refine our compositions.
Hey there, shall we also have a look at the actual score?
Absolutely. Here it comes.
There it is, our lovely B1 theme. Let's take a closer look at this charming 8-bar melody.
This simple melody, characterized by a dotted rhythm, ascends in the middle, gracefully returning to the first degree at the cadence. Let's have a listen, shall we?
And now let's harmonize the B1 theme. Here comes the music box spec. Let's take a look at a practical example of melody harmonization.
This example will show us how to harmonize a melody for SATB, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass. They are indicated as parts in the spec, preceded by colon. There is also a :F part to specify the Roman numeral analysis to understand the harmonic progression.
Exactly. We have, for each bar, the four voices and the bass figure enclosed in square brackets.
Well, maybe that's too much to explain right now, Siegfried. Shall we break it down and analyze it measure by measure using the actual score?
You're right, Odette. Let's dive in.
Okay, that's better. Just let me spend a few words on the score layout. Each note gets a color depending on its role in the chord: blue for root note, green for third, red for fifth. This will be especially useful to spot chord inversions, as we'll see. For now, we have only blue notes in the bass, that is, only chords in root position. Plus, note that measure numbers are indicated at the top.
Alright, Odette. So, our initial gaze falls now upon the opening two measures, adorned with the melodic sequence of the third, fourth, and fifth scale degrees.
For this harmonic exploration, I've chosen the tonic, subdominant, and back to the tonic chords to weave into the melodic tapestry.
As we delve into the distribution, let's maintain the unison alignment between the melody and the soprano voice, possibly steering clear of parallel fifths and octaves. Now, let's turn our attention to the third and fourth measures, where the melody weaves through the sixth, seventh, and eighth scale degrees.
In this section, I opt for the subdominant, dominant, and a return to the tonic chords, shaping a harmonic journey.
As we navigate these measures, the soprano and alto voices gracefully move up, while the bass and tenor voices harmonize to complete the chords.
This harmonic interplay reflects the subtleties of voice leading, bringing depth to the musical narrative. As we discussed earlier, we keep common chord tones and stay away from parallel fifths and octaves. In the fifth and sixth measures, our melody gracefully descends, marking another chapter in our harmonization journey.
Continuing the dance, I choose the subdominant, dominant, and once again, the tonic chords to accompany this downward voyage.
Maintaining the unison alignment between the soprano and the melody, we carefully navigate the harmonization, evading the pitfalls of parallel octaves and fifths.
And now, the last chapter in the seventh and eighth measures, where our theme reaches its resolution with a perfect authentic cadence.
Culminating this musical tale, I select the subdominant, dominant, and, with a sense of closure, the tonic chords.
As we approach the end, the beauty of the perfect authentic cadence brings our harmonization to a satisfying conclusion.
In these final measures, the subdominant, dominant, and tonic chords complete our melody with a sense of resolution.
Hold on. Are those parallel fifths I spot between the soprano and bass voices in the next to last measure?
Yes, I see them now. They are indicated in the score with an X and a 5 above the staff. Parallel fifths between the bass and soprano voices.
The bass moves from F to G, while the soprano goes from C to D.
Indeed, but considering our current harmonic constraints, avoiding parallel fifths is a challenge.
And don't forget, we've intentionally kept the soprano voice in unison with the melody, further restricting our options. We are forced to use such a voicing in the soprano.
Exactly, and if we chose to have a subdominant chord at the beginning of measure 7, the bass is forced to go from the fourth to the fifth degree. There's no way to avoid them. Well, using inversions could help with the parallel fifths, but that's a discussion for another time when we expand our harmonic palette.
Sure. But we could have chosen to have the tonic chord instead. Wouldn't we get away with the fifths in this case?
Well, that's a perfect exercise for everybody. Give it a try, Odette. Just change 2 of the 4 voices in the first chord of measure 7, and you are done. But I think that the subdominant chord is still a better choice, in spite of the parallel fifths.
Well, don't worry. Instead, let's have a listen to the result. Are you ready?
We've just listened to a simple harmonization of our melody, using basic chords like 1, 4, and 5. It's straightforward, but it's only the beginning of our journey.
There's a lot more to explore and discover in the world of harmonization. Each step forward brings us closer to mastering the art.
So, let's continue this exciting journey together, uncovering new possibilities and expanding our musical horizons.
Wonderful. Now that we've explored our first theme, let's move on to a new one.
That's right, Odette. We're going to introduce theme B2, which will give us another chance to practice harmonization.
This new theme will be 8 bars long and end with a half cadence, providing a sense of musical tension.
We can see additional symbols in the spec. A dash means legato, while a tilde indicates a tie with the next note.
For the harmonization, we'll stick to our basic chord palette of 1, 4, and 5. It's amazing what we can do with just these 3 chords.
Look at the final measure. We do not end on a degree harmonizable with 1. This leaves us yearning for more, a musical cliffhanger.
B2 sparks curiosity, its journey is just beginning. Let's listen to it, played by a wonderful oboe. Examining the melody of B2, we observe a distinct ascending-descending pattern.
The melodic journey concludes with a resolution on the 2nd degree of the major scale. Let's have another listen.
All right, time to weave harmonies into the fabric of B2.
Let's explore how the major triads of tonic, subdominant, and dominant can complement this melody.
All right, let's take a look at how we've harmonized our new theme B2.
Here we have music box code that shows the SATB harmonization.
Pay close attention to how we've used 1, 4, and 5 chords throughout the 8 bars.
And notice how it all leads to that half cadence at the end. Ready to see it in score?
In the opening measures, we maintain a crisp voice leading, assigning 1 chord to each melodic note.
Notice how the soprano deviates from the melody, introducing a new layer of melodic interest.
This departure adds depth and complexity to our harmonization, a delightful twist.
You're right, Odile. The interplay between melody and harmony is shaping up beautifully in B2.
By the way. Measure 4 beckons for a deceptive cadence, a musical tease that we'll explore in future harmonizations.
The 6th chord will bring a delightful surprise to that spot, adding a layer of intrigue to our melodic journey.
As our harmonic palette expands, so will the possibilities for crafting nuanced cadences.
The promise of future reharmonizations adds an element of anticipation to B2.
The anticipation builds as we approach the half cadence in measure 8. Imagine for a moment the orchestral richness that will fill the space, creating a dynamic and engaging conclusion. Let's have a listen.
The lingering note at the half cadence offers a perfect opportunity for the orchestra to make a dramatic statement, leaving the audience hanging in suspense.
In the future, we'll explore how the orchestra can enhance the impact of that sustained note, turning it into a powerful moment of musical tension.
Hold your excitement, you two. We're just scratching the surface. There's a long journey ahead in the realm of orchestration.
True, Rothbart, but it's never too early to dream big, right? Let's keep the creative flames burning.
I see some parallel motion between the melody and inner voices of the harmonization.
That's not a problem, Odette. We saw earlier that, as long as we don't have parallel motion between the melody and the bass, it's still acceptable.
Well, sometimes it's impossible to avoid those parallels. What do we do then?
The truth is, strictly adhering to all rules isn't always necessary. What matters most is the musical result. If it sounds good, I think that some parallel motion can be overlooked.
All right, then. Beauty comes first. Now, let's listen to the result of harmonizing B2. Feel free to pause or replay it as needed.
Take your time to absorb the harmonization. Listening closely will help you understand how the chords support and enhance the theme.
Feel the movement and emotion in the harmonization. If you need to, listen to it again to catch the subtleties.
Every repetition reveals more about the choices we made in the harmonization. Dive into the details and enjoy the process.
Before leaving, let's delve into the enchanting world of a minor key.
A minor, a realm of melancholy and mystery. Let's see how our themes unfold in this evocative setting.
Minor keys carry a unique emotional weight. Let's weave a new musical tale before we bid farewell.
The allure of a minor key is undeniable. Let's craft our next theme with a touch of darkness and intrigue.
You'll notice some interesting features in this harmonization, particularly with our repeated half cadences at the beginning.
Pay special attention to the use of lowercase 5 instead of uppercase 5 in our Roman numeral analysis. It's a subtle but important distinction in minor keys. It means using a flat 7th degree, and not the leading tone of the harmonic scale, to harmonize a descending melodic line. You know, like a natural minor scale.
Exactly, Odile. Now, let's explore the harmonization with the help of the generated score. Let's start by harmonizing the first two measures of our theme using a half cadence.
A half cadence typically ends on the dominant chord, giving a sense of anticipation or an unresolved feeling.
In the first measure, we'll use the tonic chord, 1, followed by the subdominant, 4. This sets a strong foundation.
And in the second measure, we'll resolve to the dominant, 5. This leads us perfectly into the next phrase, creating that expected tension.
After repeating the phrase in measures 3 and 4, we introduce a leap followed by a descending scale.
To harmonize this, we'll use a sequence of 1, 4, and 5 chords.
The tonic chord, 1, will anchor the leap, providing stability before we descend.
As the scale descends, the subdominant, 4, adds depth, and finally, we resolve to the dominant, 5, which prepares us for the next musical idea.
Notice how we use the minor lowercase 5 chord instead of the major uppercase 5.
Proper voice leading in this context, along with the descending scale, calls for not raising the leading tone.
By using the minor lowercase 5, we keep the motion smooth and avoid the sharp tension that the leading tone would create. Moreover, we avoid the augmented second in the soprano line. You know, they would have you banned for an augmented second, back in our school days.
Indeed. So, this subtle choice maintains the flow of the passage, ensuring that the harmonization complements the natural descent of the melody.
Now, let's listen to this harmonization of B3. It's a lot darker in character.
Indeed, Odette, the minor mode adds a profound emotional depth. With a bit of imagination, it does evoke the feel of a sad soundtrack.
The subtle harmonies create a sense of longing and introspection. It's amazing how the choice of chords can paint such vivid emotional landscapes.
Notice how the minor harmonization shifts the mood. It's a powerful example of how harmonic choices influence the emotional impact of music.
Okay, fellow composers. That's all for this score talk. Let's recap what we've covered today.
SATB writing, or soprano, alto, tenor, bass, is a fundamental structure in harmonization. We started with a solo melody, which can be in unison with the soprano voice.
This approach allows us to build the harmony beneath the melody, giving it a full, rich sound while maintaining clarity in the top line.
We explored the 1, 4, and 5 chords as the building blocks for our harmonization. These chords are the pillars of most harmonic progressions, especially in classical and popular music.
Using these chords, we established a solid foundation, allowing the melody to shine while creating tension and resolution through the harmonic structure.
We also touched on harmonizing in both major and minor modes, each offering unique emotional qualities. The choice between major and minor significantly affects the overall mood and color of the piece.
In minor mode, we made use of the minor lowercase 5 chord, avoiding the raised leading tone for smoother voice leading, particularly in descending scales.
Thank you for joining us today. We hope you've gained valuable insights into the basics of melody harmonization.
If you found this talk helpful, consider supporting us on buymecoffee.com/scoretalk. Your support helps us create more educational content like this.
As a supporter, you'll receive exclusive perks, including MIDI files and Lillipond scores of the material we presented here.
Or, you may join us at scoretalk.art to explore our entire collection of score talks. Not only can you find all our episodes there, but you can also play along with our musical examples. It's like having an interactive composition workshop at your fingertips.
These resources will allow you to dive deeper, study the examples, and practice harmonizing your own themes. Let's keep the music going together, and please give us feedback in the comments below.
Exactly, and consider subscribing to our channel. In the meantime, don't forget to tune in next time for more Score Talk, your way to mastery.